Welcome back to a review. I finished watching Scream 6 like a few days ago, which was a movie I was looking forward to watching because I did like the fifth one that came out last year, and I do like this Scream franchise. And I was getting worried before this movie came out. There's been a lot of theories of what and who will be Ghostface, and I feel like I was having the movie spoiled to me. But I tried my best to avoid spoilers, just try to ignore all those facts and theories so I just don't have a movie ruined for me. But I did went into this movie with high expectations and getting excited for what we're about to be shown, who is Ghostface, and why are they doing this. Okay, so I'm just gonna say what I think about this movie. I think this movie is great. I won't say it's amazing, but I'm not. I'm just gonna say it's great. I think it's much better than all the previous movies. I think it's better than the fifth movie. The movie was amazing at first, but towards the end, it felt like it was stepping back from being amazing because of the killer reveal and their motives. I don't want to spoil this movie. I would recommend you to check it out, but if you watch this movie and you watch the previous movies and you watch this one, you would know what I mean. Okay, so I think there's only one thing I did not like about this movie, and that is probably the killer reveal and the motive. I mean, I at least appreciate that we have at least three killers, not two, but three. And one thing that, I sometimes say why I don't like the killer reveals is because the killer reveals could just be you could find out who they are and who's Ghostface, but you had to find out their motives. And that's one thing I didn't like in this movie, because one of the motives from the previous movies was used in here. It kind of felt like I didn't like it. Probably it's because it's been used in the previous movie, and I was like, you're recycling the motive and using it again, which you already used it. And this is a new Scream movie. Can you come up with a different motive? But I see the reason why it's in here and why it it had to be here. And it's not making me say this movie sucks or anything. Like I said, there's only one thing in this movie I don't like, but the rest I like, and I'll explain that later. Okay, so that was the only thing I didn't like about this movie, the killer reveal and the motive. But now it's time to talk about the things I liked, because the motive isn't the only thing that stopped me from enjoying this movie. I think I enjoyed the rest of this movie. The kills in here are very brutal. This is the most brutal Ghostface we've ever had. The fifth movie was brutal, but in here's a step up from being brutal, way brutal. There's always a shot where we focus more into the death of someone, like a close-up shot of Ghostface knife twisting and everyone getting stabbed multiple times. And I don't get that in the Scream movies. When there's someone getting stabbed and it's being stabbed multiple times, I'm like, how do you even survive? The fifth movie taught us that the survivors are not invincible anymore, and in here we're now shown that, hey, the survivors from previous movies could still be invincible. But this movie was very violent, and it looked like an action film, and it almost did look like that, an action film, because there's a scene where Ghostface had a shotgun and shoots everywhere in in the store looking for Sam and Tara. That scene is what made this movie look like an action film. But that was the only part in the movie that did feel like an action movie in the beginning. And throughout the rest of the film, Ghostface just has like a knife. I was worried that people might get mad because he's holding a shotgun. But no, but I think that was a cool thing, you know? I think it was cool to see Ghostface hold the shotgun and shoot everywhere in the store. Like, we've never seen that in the franchise. It is wonderful. I love that we had that in here. Another thing I liked in this movie was the opening in this movie. The opening in this movie was very great. We have a guy who's about to date a college professor, and I'm not gonna say more because I'm going to keep this review like non-spoiler. Like, I'm not gonna spoil you anything. Just check this movie out. In the beginning of this movie, the opening just makes you question what the what the hell is going on, and tells you that this movie isn't gonna be about the movies anymore. But look, the opening is like an opening we've never had in any Scream movie. The opening is where we get introduced to New York, a different setting instead of Woodsboro, but I don't think this isn't the first time we've had a Scream movie away from Woodsboro, but I appreciate the setting of New York. So yeah, I think the opening of this movie is much more amazing and better than any of the openings in the other Scream movies. Like, this movie had so much action towards it, you know, holding a shotgun, extreme brutal kills, running everywhere, and Neve Campbell isn't in this movie, which feels different without her, and it also feels weird without her because I really did miss her throughout this movie. When the movie finished, I was like, you know, I feel like we could have had Neve Campbell back. Like, I really wish we had her back. Like, yeah, that made me sad that we didn't have her back. It just made me sad. But the movie did well without her, and I did ended up liking her. So yeah, I missed her, but the movie did well overall. And I already said I love the setting of New York. We had like a previous Scream movie take place in a different place. Like, the third one took place like in Hollywood, and here we take place in New York, which is great. But this kind of feels like a good place for a horror movie for a slasher movie to take place in New York. Like, I don't think I've ever seen any slasher horror movie take place in New York. Well, there was a Friday the 13th movie that took place in New York, but nobody liked it. And I watched it too, but I didn't like it. I think it was horrible. I have to say, this is probably the only good slasher movie that takes place in New York. And this movie takes place in Halloween, so that's pretty good, you know, to take place in Halloween. Kind of like, you know, the Halloween movies take place in Halloween. This one takes place in Halloween, kind of like outdoing the Halloween movies. And, you know, I think it's better than the Halloween movies taking place in Halloween. You know, it's a Halloween movie, just better than the Halloween movies. So overall, I like this movie, and it is amazing. I'm probably gonna give Scream 6 like an 8 out of 10. Or maybe I'm gonna give it like a 9 out of 10. I think that's better. A 9 out of 10. It's amazing, and where it takes place, and all the energy, action energy this movie has. It's amazing. And to me, this movie looks like what New York actually is and how dangerous and terrifying it can be if you had a serial killer after you in New York. I've never been in New York, but it shows how dangerous it'll be if a killer was after you. No one would see you die, no one would hear you. And that's what I hear. I hear that nobody would hear you or look at you die. Like, even if you screamed really loud, like, no one could hear you. Like, this movie shows how great it could be to show how scary being in New York is and having a ghost face after you. So, that was it for my review on Scream 6. I love this movie. It's amazing. Probably my favorite. I'm gonna call it my now favorite, very favorite movie in the franchise because it's something new. It's different and it doesn't like. It's also like a very meta kind of movie. So it's amazing. It's amazing. I love it. So if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe. If you watch Scream 6, then comment down below what you thought of it. Did you like it? Did you not? I would love to hear your opinion about it. So I'll talk to you all soon. Goodbye.